Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pash On podcast. Let's get started with your host, Brian Pash.
Hi, this is Brian Pash, and welcome to another podcast interview. I'm pleased to welcome back to the show Amber Daniel. She's the Director of Product Strategy at S&P Global, Polk, IHS. How many other names, Amber, has the company associated with this world-class first-party data?
I can't keep count at this point, but thank you so much, Brian. It's great to be here and back having these conversations with you.
Well, data is more important than ever. I think dealers have been realizing when Google announced the removal of cookies, now punted for another year or so, but the idea that personalized advertising in a data world is possible as long as the data sources are of high quality and updated on a regular basis. So let's come out of the gate strong, Amber. At one time, Polk was known for their reports, market reports, sales reports, but by the time they got to dealers, they were old. They could be 30 days old. Today, you're delivering real-time data insights to advertising partners or dealers who want direct, real-time consumer audiences. Let's talk about that major development that you're delivering the best data in real time to power personalized ad campaigns.
That's exactly right, Brian. We have traditionally been viewed as sort of late to the game in terms of reporting. And a lot of our legacy business is, obviously still a core part of our business. We still have our market reporting team that helps mostly OEMs or brands develop strategies and report out on what's happening at a market level. This is more holistic though, right? We don't get super granular into dealers as it relates to that offering. The other piece of business that we sort of get, I think we're known for, is our audience business. And I think as we relate that to measurement, which is one of our big focuses, right, is figuring out how do we tell the story to dealers and agencies, how effective their marketing is. And we've come a long way. We've gone from, more of a traditional reporting stance of looking at things in a 30-day increment to moving to, modern days, which is evaluating performance daily.
And that's music to dealers' ears because sometimes these attribution reports, they throw a little shade on other marketing channels or, try to take credit for things that may have been a combination of other marketing influences. But today, you're showing dealers that the audiences that they can buy from you are visiting their website. They are converting. They are engaging. And this is a big upgrade because, I think a lot of data providers before never provided pixels on the dealer's website to trigger ad engagement. In fact, I just interviewed the team from Premion, and they were really bragging on you guys that, they're streaming ad delivery powered by Polk data, proof of performance. Because of their pixel, they could see, hey, this household that was labeled a SUV, home, maybe leases up. They're seeing the ad being delivered to the IP address. They're seeing a device from that IP address come to the dealer's website. Obviously, part of the attribution model, you've invested a lot in measurement. What's the reaction you're getting from dealers as they're seeing that this isn't spray and pray based on some random audience, but this is the confidence that S&P Global has to say, not only can we create an audience, but it's going to perform well?
That's exactly the reaction in the marketplace has been overwhelmingly positive. I mean, frankly, we launched a new product about a year and a half ago, Polk Dealer Marketing, that offered this sort of light measurement solution. So if you buy an audience in Polk Dealer Marketing, you automatically get audience attribution at no additional cost. And what we've seen is really impressive in terms of, the adoption of that. So we really felt like going into this, we were going to get a lot of pushback from our agency partners just based on the nature of the platform being something that is self-serve. So a technology that anyone can use, right? It's not overly complex. You can execute multiple audiences literally in real time. And our measurement kicks off as soon as you activate those audiences. So it's been a positive experience. And I think, even through that, we've learned so much in the last year and a half around, how we need to pivot in the marketplace due to inventory challenges, what additional audiences are needed, meaning for example, we have, Facebook removing their special ad categories. And this has really put us in a position to succeed because of those industry constraints, whether it be the walled gardens of Facebook and Google or the inventory constraints that we have.
And what I'm seeing is a new awareness from dealers that their first party data is important, but they're also realizing their first party data may be a little stale, maybe a little outdated, maybe needs to get a refresh. How is S&P Polk helping dealers kind of manage that first party data to make sure it's accurate, relevant? Because if that isn't relevant, first party targeting kind of falls apart.
Absolutely. It's funny. We talked about our legacy business earlier in the conversation, and frankly, our data services is not necessarily. Sometimes I hate using the word legacy, but it is core to our business is data cleanliness, and this has been ongoing for the last 15 years. This isn't a new practice for us. Our overall strategy or approach to data in general is, hygiene first or enrichment first, then execution. So the same process that we put our data through to make sure that we have the most up-to-date and accurate models to provide in-market audiences for a really good conquest strategy are applied at a first-party standpoint. So we, put the data through an enrichment process and then move it through to onboarding, right? So we're sending that data to the Facebooks and the Googles. And then we also provide a closed loop measurement. So we know if you're sending our audience data to Google or Facebook, we can actually start to tell the whole story. The other thing I want to add, Brian, is, we talked about first party data. It is the core and should be the core foundation of any marketing strategy, right? Beyond the even automotive. But if you think about the realities, the first party data that we're talking about mostly is lead data or historical sales data. We're not necessarily talking about the reconciliation of consumers that are going to a dealer website, matching those consumers to an actual identity or a household and being able to execute and report out on that. And that's really the next, I think, phase of where we're going. There are some great companies out there that are doing well. Full Throttle, a company that we see as, really positioned well in the marketplace. But I do think that should be the next phase of what we're talking about, is figuring out that reconciliation process so that we can start to understand more about who those consumers are and how to market to them, to your point.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. You brought up Full Throttle, which, if I'm correct, right, is part of Stream Companies, correct?
That's correct.
And David Rain is a great visionary and leader. The idea of dealers get thousands of people to their website, but they don't know who they are. So through identity resolution software, which many industries use, they can reverse match back to see, hey, who was that person who was visiting the website, or come up with a clear estimate. And that becomes yet another audience that can be matched back to Polk data and further refined. So let's talk about this blend between first party and second party data. If a dealer was listening to today's podcast and said, Amber, I'm selling my new cars pretty well, but I really need to accelerate my used car sales. The market's been a little cooling. How would Polk help a dealer accelerate their used car sales? Because I'm getting more of those questions. Hey, Brian, what can we do other than just brand awareness? What could we do? And how does Polk answer that question for dealers? Say, I really want to dominate in my local market for used cars.
I mean, frankly, we have audiences for that, right? Our modeling methodology for in-market for new or in-market for used is the perfect solution to that. I hate to oversimplify, but this is what we've been doing for 30 plus years. And, I feel like we've really perfected it in a way. I also think that having a consistent strategy, you're not going to just flip a switch and sell more used cars, right? These strategies are meant to be always on, just like any other really advertising strategy. With Google, you don't want to completely reset your ads every month. Same with Facebook. And that's the same recommendation we would make for our audiences. They continuously optimize. And so the point would be to continuously commit to a used car marketing strategy. And I think we've gotten away from that overall. I mean, even before the pandemic and all of the inventory constraints and, now, a lot of question to our economic stability, we've leaned away from continuing to commit to different marketing strategies, whether that be used car or service, when we know there's a ton of opportunity there, right? You sell a used car or you buy a used car as a dealer, more than likely you're going to sell a car. You bring a customer into the service bay, you have opportunity, whether it be more service offerings or potential acquisition or sales. And so I think just overall, we have to kind of come back to the core of how we should be executing marketing.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Dealers in general are impatient. So saying, look, I'm going to trust S&P Polk data for in-market service customers or ownership data, and I'm just going to keep on advertising our service drive to the people who own, let's say they're a Honda dealer, who own a Honda. Now, all the people who own Hondas. There's no doubt in anybody's mind. Now, the question is, who they are, when new people come into market. A lot of the problem, I think, Amber, is that dealers run out of creativity so that these consistent campaigns don't have a theme, they don't have a funnel. And so I think your recommendation really is one for the agencies, like using the right data isn't a 30-day process, but if you're going to do a 6-month or a 1-year commitment, we better have the creative to go along with it. And that brings up another, upcoming question is, what is the future look like for dealers who may want to come to you for EV intenders, right? This is a whole new category. Now, people will say, Brian, we don't have a lot of EV models to sell, but let's just fast forward 6 months, a year, and more companies are committed to rolling out more EV models. Has any thought gone into creating an EV intender list for dealers to start marketing?
Absolutely. It is a huge topic of conversation internally and has been an area of focus for really about the last eight months. It's funny you asked that question. We actually just released our new EV, what we would call taxonomy or audiences. So we now have in-market modeling for EV, which is, like you said, it's vital to where we're going as an industry. Those are now available to our existing partners, as well as any new partners that come work with us directly.
Well, that's great news because, we always have to plan for the future. And the people who do leverage this data, especially as more EV models come, I mean, for me, I wouldn't say that I have had a high desire to purchase an EV, but I don't drive a lot. So an EV is perfect for me because I don't have range anxiety. I pretty much just drive locally. The rest of the time I'm on a plane somewhere. So, when Carrie's lease comes up, it very well could be that we would consider an EV. And I have not done a lot of research, but I'm assuming as I start to research, visit different sites, your data partnerships would pick up that signal and put me into an EV intender list?
Absolutely. We also look at more things. So the core of our business is really looking at transactional, or I would say tangible results. Our modeling methodology is inclusive of what is Brian's or Carrie's historical behavior, and how does that translate into modern day, EV purchases. So regardless of whether or not you've been in market, there are people who look like you from a transaction standpoint that have transitioned into EV buyers. And so those are the things that we're looking at as well.
That's so cool because you're right. I think that an EV buyer isn't looking for a cheap car, so they have to have the desire or past performance in buying a luxury car or a vehicle that's over a market average, right? And I'm sure lifestyle issues and other things come into play. And that's why I like the fact that you opened up very strongly that, hey, for the last 30 plus years, all you've been doing is focusing on delivering the best analytics and data for the automotive industry. When you think of all the partnerships that you have with agencies that are using your data to create better personalized messages, it's quite impressive. So if you had to tell a dealer listening who maybe is not sure whether their agency is using your data or knows that they're not, what would you tell them to encourage them to look further in how their ad campaign performance could be lifted if either they purchased the audiences directly from you or you had a group call with their agency and yourself to come up with a plan? What's the message you would like to tell dealer principals or marketing managers?
Well, I think it's the same message that you deliver to the marketplace today. First of all, understand what your agency is doing for you. We have a lot of great partnerships with agencies out there today who we feel we know and we can trust, but there are others that exist that are not quite as transparent, who may tell a dealer they're using our data, but really they're not, potentially charging for it. So I would say, I think the core of a lot of your messaging is around transparency and just dealers being more engaged. And so number one, be engaged with your agency partner, because that only helps them learn about what you need and want. They don't sit in your dealership every day. They can do the best they can, but you definitely have to lean in as a dealer to make sure that you're providing, with an agency and a dealer relationship, in my opinion, we both have our responsibilities. The dealer has their responsibility to be engaged in a certain way, and an agency has an obligation to to be engaged. So I would say, those are the two core pieces of that. I think the separate part is we built Polk Dealer Marketing to really sort of bridge the gap there. A dealer can sign up with us directly, or they can go through an agency. That really allows them to control their advertising strategy, their audience strategy, which I think is so important. It also gives them some perspective overall on things that are happening in the marketplace. So as part of that offering through Polk Dealer Marketing, like I said earlier in the call, we offer sales measurement. And one of the components of that is actually competitive sales. So I can see if, Amber's BMW is selling 50 cars a month out of the audience, and Brian's BMW is also selling 50 cars. What's the opportunity there, and what am I missing?
Well, I love the fact that you brought up the competitive analysis, right? Because that includes insights on how competitors are doing compared to the dealer at a model level, right? We can see competing dealers doing much better in commercial vehicles or in a certain class, and basically help them close that gap, correct?
That is correct. I mean, we report out all the way down to the trim level for our dealer offering. So make, model, segment, trim. And you can also filter by a specific audience. So let's say as part of your subscription with Polk, you have 15 audience segments, but you only target 2 audience segments for in market for BMW X5. You can actually filter down to that specific segment level and see the performance within that segment alone. So instead of bundling it all together.
Love that. Love that. Well, Amber, it's clear that S&P Polk relationship has really taken the company to a next level. Dealers can get self-serve audiences with measurement. They can work with their agency partners. As you look ahead for the next year, and a lot of upgrades have happened since you and I've been talking over these last few years, what's something that you're looking forward to delivering for dealers in 2023? Maybe a little sneak peek of what's coming, or even more enhancements to measurement. What's 2023 going to look like for dealers who partner with your data?
I think the thing that you can look forward to the most would be our additional measurement solutions. So digging deeper within the measurement space, trying to break down some of these walled gardens that are Facebook and Google to try to provide better insights to dealers. That's our number one goal. Secondarily, it's more of an omni-channel audience execution approach. So being able to control your audience strategy across all platforms rather than just a Facebook or an Amazon, really bringing it all together and reporting out in that way and executing audiences. The other piece of it is, just our ability to layer in that first party data and enrich it in a way that provides dealers a full scale, holistic audience solution.
Well, one of the things that is going to be a topic at the Modern Retailing Conference, and I want to thank your organization from supporting dealer education year after year, is this idea of a customer data platform, or CDPs. And I know that a number of companies are coming to market with a piece of software where this first party data can be connected with your data, connected with other folks' data to create a single source of truth. This is pretty exciting in the fact that platforms, marketing automation platforms are merging with customer data platforms to provide dealers with maybe something that DMSs should have been thinking about, is an automated single source of truth that's privacy compliant and secure. I see your company being an important API integration partner with these automotive specific CDPs. Is that how you see it?
It is. It really is. We try to build solutions that bridge gaps where we aren't necessarily trying to take the place of an agency or a specific CDP, but to empower them with our data to be better. You brought up a good point around DMS data. You can't just rely on DMS data to build a full-scale CDP. You have to be able to reconcile the anonymous website traffic, the CRM data that is not always captured through the DMS. So you really have kind of three components of what I would call first-party data, but then pulling in that incremental opportunity. So that's our full-scale strategy is making sure that we're covering all phases of the audience sort of marketing opportunity, whether that's first-party data via your CRM, the anonymous website data, then moving into incremental opportunity, which is second-party data using our in-market or owner audiences. From a sales perspective, I think that's where we really shine is on measurement. And that's been a theme throughout this conversation. But being able to really empower the CDPs or the marketing automation platforms with communicating the dealer's success. I think we get so caught up on vanity metrics, but that's all we've had to rely on. And we're really trying to move away from that and start really getting to the core of what makes an advertising campaign successful. And that's matching back to sales.
Right. And I think that part of the reason why our conferences are successful is because we're bringing together the players that can help dealers solve some of the largest challenges they have in developing a modern retailing strategy that includes using their data properly to maximize the lifetime value of each customer, using their data properly to create personalized ad campaigns, using partners to update, enhance, and modify their data to keep it accurate and relevant. And that's why dealers are sending their marketing managers, their data partners, and their executives to the Modern Retailing Conference, because we're talking about modern retail sales process, modern retailing showroom and service process, what it takes to run a modern retailing customer acquisition campaign and a retention campaign. It's all part of the Modern Retail Conference. And it's a beautiful time of the year to visit Palm Beach, Florida. The conference is November 13th, 14th, and 15th. And we only have OEM and dealer tickets left. The allied industry tickets are all sold out. They sold out on October 1st. So if you're listening to this podcast and haven't purchased your tickets, just go to modernretailingconference.com. Get your tickets, local hotels starting at $180 a night. There's no reason for you not to send one of your key leaders to the Modern Retailing Conference. The content is rich, the networking, and well, the thought leadership is beyond description, because there's been so many deals that have been done at our conferences, so many breakthroughs. Amber, you've been to so many. Why do you think dealers should come out to MRC this year? You're seeing so much of the changes going on. What's one reason do you think dealers should come out this year in November?
Brian, I'm really glad you asked that question, because as you were talking about, the conferences, the thing that I really take away and like about both MRC and formerly the Napa event.
Yep, DMSC, right?
Yes. It's an unfiltered conversation. And I think everyone there has so much passion for what we do in the marketplace. And we're really just trying to put together solutions and answers to be good partners in the space. And that's what I really love about those conferences. And I think we also have a tendency to talk about things that are more emerging rather than, what we've always been talking about. So I would say if you're a dealer, if you're an OEM that really wants to be at the forefront of what's going on in the marketplace and even the future, I think this is definitely the place for you. It gives you a really robust understanding all the way, just as you mentioned, from sales process all the way down into marketing strategy.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. We tell the truth, hold people accountable if they're not telling the truth, and we're pushing the industry forward If this is the first time you're listening to one of our podcasts, you should know that there are dozens of interviews with industry leaders, disruptors, and conversations with companies that are bringing new products and solutions to help dealers build a modern retailing framework that's profitable and wows their customers. So make sure you listen to all the podcasts in the MRC series. You can find them on Apple's podcast channel, the Google Play Store, SoundCloud, or you can go to brianpash.libsyn, that's LIBSYN.com, to listen to all the episodes. And I look forward to seeing industry colleagues, Amber, yourself, and your team at the Modern Retailing Conference coming up November 13th, 14th, and 15th. Until then, thank you for listening in to our interview, and I'll catch you next time on another podcast interview.